Hi again, everybody. So this is part 2 of my First Time Mama series. So let's talk about breastfeeding or formula feeding or feeding your baby. So it wasn't very, like the goal of after your baby is making sure they eat every 2 hours. That's how it was presented to me in the hospital. That's how it was presented to me in all of my birthing classes, is making sure your baby eats every 2 hours. If you're nursing, your milk's still coming in, so the colostrum is going to come out and it's going to look very like a golden yellow, and it's only going to come out in a few drops. And they say that that is supposed to sustain your baby in calories, but your baby's going to be losing weight in the couple of days after birth because they have all this fluid and they're losing that fluid. Well, my baby was jaundiced, so that wasn't very ideal. I was pumping in the hospital. I did have a lot more milk than most, a lot of colostrum than most. The nurses kept telling me, like, wow, you're like super healthy. And as they would come in to help me, they're like, wow, you have a lot. Now, so this whole time I'm thinking, okay, my baby's getting enough milk, but he still wasn't latching. So even though the lactation consultant was coming in, even though they were trying to teach my baby how to suck, because he was, they're still learning too. They just came out. They don't really, they haven't figured it out yet. So this whole time, these couple of days in the hospital, I'm thinking my baby's getting enough food, but he's not really giving me the signs that he's hungry. He's not crying when he's hungry. Like, it was just really hard to figure that out. And I hope somebody out there watches this video and is like, it's not, automatic. Like, you're not going to be able to like really read your baby, the first couple of days that he's born. You're still learning, you're still healing. So it's a process for both of you, but you can get through it. So before I took my baby home, one of the nurses, they were like, your baby's very jaundiced. You should give your baby formula till your milk comes in so he's the least hydrated. And I was just like, oh, I had like no idea that, he needed to be hydrated. And some people are going to come at me and be like, no, don't give your baby formula. Well, good for you. Like, I appreciate it, but my baby had jaundice, like I said, and I didn't want the baby to get dehydrated. I didn't want to have to worry, like freak out, like, is my baby getting enough milk? Because I was a first time mom. So I continued to pump. And as I was pumping, like, I read a lot about how you shouldn't pump directly after birth because it can, you can have an oversupply. Well, I didn't. I had a good supply and I kept that going. But the hardest thing about pumping was I was attached to the wall. My baby was waking up every 2.5 hours. I was pumping every 2.5 to 3-4 hours. I wasn't sleeping. It was very, very difficult, and the baby didn't really like do well on the formula the first time I gave it to them, which is the transition between milk and formula. You have to go through this transition. Their poo's gonna be different. Everything's gonna be different between milk and formula. So just so y'all know. But luckily my milk came in. I had enough milk for my baby. I wish I had gone to a lactation consultant after my baby, but at the time, like, I didn't do it. I kept trying, I kept pumping, and then he was born on the 4th in February. The most amazing invention came out. It was a wireless breast pump, and it actually like was in 2 pieces. They have 2 versions, 2 different companies. One's a Willow and one's an LV. I ordered the LV because it had a little container at the bottom where it could catch your milk. And then all this anxiety was lifted from me. Like, I didn't have to worry about being at home right when I needed to pump. I had a lot of freedom. I could wear my pump out and do what I needed to do and just get that time that I needed back to myself before going back home to take care of my baby, which was either grocery shopping or doing stuff for the house or running around, whatever. But that changed everything for me, and I was so grateful because I was really able to get my peace back and take the time again to help my baby learn how to nurse, which was still very difficult. I had to, I was reading and watching these videos, trying to figure out what was it that he was having such a hard time latching. And then at his 3-month mark, I mean, his weight was going up this whole time, like while I was pumping milk, right? But nursing was just, it took so long for me to figure it out. It took 3 months for him to learn how to latch. And I feel like a lot of it was because I did get, you know, not quote unquote lazy. I got lazy like trying to get him to latch because it was just so easy just to feed him and here's your bottle, you know. But once I was able to get him to latch, it was just like, oh, like I was just so happy we were able to do it together and we had reached that point. And it was, man, once I learned how to nurse, I was just like, oh, this is so easy. He's hungry. Whip it out. Here you go, baby. Whip it out. Here you go, baby. I was done. Game over, you know? So that's my breastfeeding journey. It's not easy. It's not for everyone, but there's a lot of support out there if you need it. And there's people out there that really know what they're doing. They're experienced. They've done it before. So don't feel like you're on an island. One of the things that helped me the most was getting into these mom groups in my community and talking to them. They'll be up 3 a.m. at the night. You know, they're moms like you that have gone through it, have went through it. And these Facebook groups, like, they saved me. They made that community. They made it think like I'm not alone. And you're not. You know, people have had kids for however many years, you know, forever. So finding your community, finding that Facebook group where you can ask open questions. And some of them are trash. I'm going to be completely honest. Some of them are just like drama. But you can find some really good ones and some really supportive people in your community that have been there, done that. And they will tell you like it is. Also, using your pediatrician as a guide too can be very helpful. Reaching out to them and letting them know what's going on. If you have questions, like if you don't have a 24-hour nurse call line, then you need to get a new pediatrician because it's just so helpful. Reaching out to your midwife in your midwife group and your birthing center or your hospital, your local hospital. They have a lot of support there too. I was just really far from the hospital that I gave birth to, so I really did not want to go all the way back there. So that's my feeding your baby rant. Everybody's experience is different. Some people milk share, some people do different things, but that's what worked for me. So have a good night. Bye.